Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here Monday, October 27th. Your Jacksonville Jaguars getting back in the groove today with a little practice time out there on the field at Miller Electric Center. And of course, after rumors, reports from The Athletic that the Jaguars are listening to trade offers for Brian Thomas Jr., even if a trade feels unlikely, Liam Coen was asked about that today, Jaguars head coach. And so we will dive into what he had to say, talk about the Brian Thomas Jr. situation as a whole. You know, now that the report had happened, we've had Liam Coen respond to it. We're going to dive into it and just talk about, you know, where they're at. So really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out GenJag.com, pick up some new Duval gear. I am going out of town for the next couple days, starting tomorrow. So probably I can get a post done a day, a video done a day for y'all. We'll see. Gonna do my best. That's all I can say. But that'll be Tuesday through Thursday. We'll be back on Friday. I will not be at Club Jaguar this week, but hopefully the boys will get together on Wednesday night at 8:30. Jason and UCF Jaguar, and talk some Jags football. But Brian Thomas Jr. First, let's start off with Liam Coen's response when asked. He was not asked about the trade. He was asked about optimism for Brian Thomas Jr., like where they're at. He said, "Yeah, I am very optimistic. We have no plans on moving Brian Thomas Jr. at all." Says, "I saw something about that over the weekend, but I talked to him for a good amount of time this morning, and it was just a good reset for a lot of these guys to come in fresh, 4-3 with everything ahead of us. Regardless, good, bad, or indifferent, what's happened in the first 7 games, we all have the opportunity to write a narrative. We own the narrative, and so I got a lot of confidence in them. I really do believe that we can turn the corner and get better in the pass game that way." So that's big. I think that is a full endorsement type of statement from your head coach that we are not looking to move you. Now, over the weekend, I thought about, you know, who would benefit from this information being put out there? Would it be the Jaguars? Would it be Brian Thomas Jr., his representation, whatever it may be? I don't think that this Jaguar organization, is going to be an organization that puts a lot out there. So far, they have kind of moved in silence and made big moves in silence. I don't expect that to just suddenly change. I don't expect that to be the way the Jaguars really operate, working through the media. Maybe I'm wrong on that. We'll see. That's just not what they've shown so far. And as far as Liam Coen giving that public kind of backing of Brian Thomas Jr., again, you kind of had a trade rumor situation about Travis Etienne over the summer. He put that to bed, and they didn't end up trading Travis Etienne, and he's still here and having a good year overall and all that stuff. So I think Brian Thomas Jr. is in Jacksonville moving forward. I think that's the plan. And I also talked about this weekend, you know, I would have mixed feelings, you know, depending on what the Jaguars were able to garner in a trade if they were going to move on from Brian Thomas Jr. I think that the best possible outcome for the Jaguars is to get Brian Thomas Jr. going and to get this thing rolling in the right direction, the ball rolling in the right direction with Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence in this passing game. Because we've seen he has the ability to be a really effective receiver in this league at minimum. And you talk about his ceiling. I mean, it's through the roof. What is the ceiling for when he's feeling it and playing well? I don't know that there is one with his skill set. So yeah, I've always thought that their best possible option would be to get him going, figure it out, and move forward and have a potential dynamic duo with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. long term. I still think that's the best option. I still think the most likely party to put out any rumor or anything like that about Brian Thomas Jr. potentially being traded would be Brian Thomas Jr.'s camp. I hope that that's not the case. I hope he wants to be in Jacksonville and that they can work this thing out. Because, again, even though he did put up much bigger numbers with Mac Jones last year, it's not as if he did not have a lot of production before Trevor Lawrence got injured. He was on pace for over 1,100 yards as a rookie. They had a connection. I mean, the touchdown that Trevor Lawrence threw to Brian Thomas Jr. in week 1 against Jalen Ramsey, that was sick. Think about the touchdown pass against the Patriots, Christian Gonzalez. Or it actually wasn't even a touchdown, but it was just an unbelievable deep shot. One-on-one with Christian Gonzalez. Brian Thomas Jr. makes a great play on the ball. Trevor Lawrence makes a great throw. They have an opportunity to be really good together. And so I do hope that their plan is to get him going and that they have a plan to get him going. I don't know what that would be. I'm not like some expert in motivation. I don't know why Brian Thomas Jr. is struggling mentally going across the field and why he's not catching some of the passes that he did catch last year. You've obviously seen some different criticism from different folks. Jimmy Smith has been vocal about, if he just starts being a demon off the line of scrimmage and giving that full effort, it's going to change everything for him. Jimmy Smith is, a goated receiver, a Hall of Fame level receiver, the best receiver Jaguars have ever seen. There's been some really talented ones, but never quite lived up to Jimmy. So I don't know how to get him going, but I do think the best option is to get him going, is to keep working at it. I was concerned that the Jaguars might get to a point where they're like, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to fix this. We don't know how to move forward. But based on what Liam Coen is saying, and again, I think this is an organization that's going to be transparent with their fans and the media as much as they possibly can, until further notice, until I see otherwise, they're moving forward with Brian Thomas Jr. And I do think the emergence of Travis Hunter, and if they're going to use Travis Hunter more on offense, which it seems like that's the plan. Again, it could be a little game plan dependent, but he's been ramping up. Travis Hunter has been ramping up his offensive snaps in a big, big way. You just look at the numbers here. He played his most snaps on offense, I believe it was against the Rams. Yeah, so this is how it's gone all year. 42 snaps the first 2 weeks. Each of the first 2 weeks, he had 42 offensive snaps. Week 3, 37. Week 4, 38. Week 5, 39. And then week 6 against the Seahawks, 58. Week 7, 67. They are ramping him up on the offensive side of the ball while kind of seemingly taking more off of his plate on the defensive side of the ball. Like it went from, week 1 against the Panthers didn't play all that much on defense, six reps. But then week 2, 43. Week 3, 43. Week 4, only 9. Week 5, 25. Week 6, 22. Week 7, 14. Clearly, defense is not as much of a focus right now. That's just what they're telling you by his deployment. And then you also have the fact that over the last 3 weeks, he's been lining up more out wide. You're seeing that a good bit more. He's still lining up in the slot, but you're seeing him utilized down the field. You're seeing him utilized in a lot different role, really, especially against the Rams. And you wish that it was earlier in the game when the game was more competitive. Some of that was game plan, in my opinion. Some of that was Trevor Lawrence not seeing Travis or not hitting Travis when he needed to. Some of it was Travis not getting out of a break on time, whatever, different things, right? But they made a conceded effort. Hey, we got to get this guy the ball. And I think they've talked about they're going to get their best players the ball moving forward. That's the plan. So I think if Travis Hunter can take on that mantle of being not necessarily the X receiver, but the wide receiver one, the de facto wide receiver one who gets the most targets every week. And I think he has every ability to do that in the world. As much as I love Brian Thomas Jr., I think Travis Hunter is a better player. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has just as much athleticism, probably a little bit faster, more length, but Travis Hunter is a more skilled overall football player. And he's an extremely talented athlete in his own right, just physically gifted. If you can get Travis Hunter going as your top receiving target, Brian Thomas Jr. as your second, get Britton Strange back in, in a couple weeks, whatever it may be, and kind of roll with those as your top three, get the run game going again, not leave the run game, not quit in the run game. And then, it's just been a weird 3 weeks. They've been down by at least 14 points in each of the last 3 games. So it's hard to continue to lean on the run when that's the situation. It's also hard to lean on the run when you have the penalties that put you in situations where it's, obviously not good down and distance. You're not on schedule, all that stuff. They need to clean things up, but I do have hope that Brian Thomas Jr. can finish the season stronger. Hopefully this reset over the last week is a big boon for him and for a lot of the players on the team. And he can get it going, because that would just be massive for the Jaguars. And it's not just him. The issues with the passing game are not just on Brian Thomas Jr. You've got De'Ami Brown dropping a lot of passes, Parker Washington dropping a lot of passes, Trevor Lawrence needs to improve in his own right. So it's not all on him, but he came in as the clear number one. I think you're now having to shift expectations a little bit for Travis Hunter to be the leading target getter for the Jaguars. At least that's how I feel right now moving forward. That's kind of the role you've been kind of elevating him to over the last several weeks with the amount of snaps he's getting. And then last week he really exploded with over 100 yards and a touchdown. So that's where we're at. Travis Hunter, according to Liam Coen, they are not looking to move him at all. That is not in their plans. We'll see if they get active before the trade deadline, which is, 8 days away, November 4th, next Tuesday. We will see if they potentially pursue a defensive front type player who can help affect the quarterback. They talked about that today as well. They need help on the interior of the defensive line, I think. They need help getting pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, getting Trayvon back full-time can help with that. I think they could use some help at safety as well. We'll see. Very excited to see what the Jaguars, what James Gladstone has in store over the next week, and they've obviously got a massive game against the Raiders. We'll talk about that as the week moves forward. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.